UK drill is at the creative front line of British urban music.
It's the new sound through which young people can express themselves.
Originating in Chicago, it's now well established in the UK. The most popular MCs get millions of views online.
Some believe that the growing popularity and influence of drill music are contributing to what's been described as a knife crime epidemic.
In London, knife crime is up 34% in a year, with more than 13,000 offences.
Today, a judge banned 5 young drill artists from performing or uploading songs that incite violence.
It's not like it's just music.
Yeah.
The majority of them are trying to kill each other.
In the past 2 years, Scotland Yard has asked YouTube to remove around 50 drill videos they say incite violence. Now the video sharing site has removed more than 30.
Although it has always been underrated in the eyes of most Americans, UK drill has had a huge movement and an undeniable impact worldwide. Starting in 2013, this scene was the first major drill movement to pop after Chicago, and over the years, UK drill grew into its own flourishing movement, producing huge stars of its own, pulling in millions of views and streams. This genre shined a light on parts of the country that never really had a voice before, and showed that no matter where you go, the trenches are still the trenches, and whether you're in the hood in the south side of Chicago or South London, you'll see the same conditions of poverty, lack of opportunity, and the violence and other problems that accompany them. And unfortunately, just like every other drill scene, the music will play a role in glorifying the violence and instigating beefs between different groups. London would end up bringing a new sound to the genre that ended up making its way back to the US in the form of New York drill, leaving a lasting impact on hip-hop that is still very present in the current day. So in this video, we'll take a look at the story of UK drill. Before we get started, these videos do take a lot of time to research and put together, so if you're not subscribed, please consider hitting that subscribe button and turning on the bell for notifications. Before we get into the video, there's one quick announcement for any artists, clothing brand owners, content creators, social media influencers, or anyone else looking to promote their goods or services or get paid to promote someone else's goods or services on their platform. New School Promo will be launching shortly, and this will serve as a network between those looking to promote on YouTube, Instagram, and any other networks with micro-influencers in the 10 to 100,000 subscriber and follower ranges. So, if you have anything to promote or a channel or page that fits these requirements, check out the link in the description. Now let's get into the video. London is a very old city with almost 2,000 years of history. At one point, it was the center of one of the strongest empires the world had ever seen. But in the past 5 decades, it has transformed into a modern metropolis and melting pot of many different cultures from across the world who contribute to form its unique culture. However, just like every major city, there's a dark side, an area stricken by poverty, lack of opportunity, and all of the negative consequences that come along with these things. Many of the areas most afflicted by these unfortunate realities are located in South London. Today's story begins in one of these poverty-stricken hoods in South London, in a neighborhood called Brixton. For years, Brixton was notorious for being one of the roughest areas in South London, but in the early 10s, it would become known for something else, because around 2013, it would become the birthplace of UK drill. In order to understand the impact of drill, it's important to understand where the UK's music scene was before drill hit. Since the 80s and 90s, London has had a high population of immigrants from the Caribbean as well as Africa, and this was clear in the musical styles in the Black British community. In the late 2000s and early 10s, dancehall and Caribbean style music was present in the music scene, as well as hip-hop tracks inspired by the sound of 2000s American hip-hop. The black youth in London also had their own original genre called grime. Grime was created back in the early 2000s by fusing together elements from genres like jungle, dancehall, hip-hop, and techno music. and this was a popular genre in the late 2000s and early 10s. People unfamiliar with the UK sometimes get drill and grime confused, but they are two completely different things. They're often compared because they have similar origin stories, and grime music also contains references to violence and crime, but grime is its own genre and not even hip-hop, much less drill. So, up until the beginning of the 10s, the Black London music scene consisted of 2000s hip-hop, dancehall, reggae, and grime. However, over in Chicago, around 2011, a new sound called drill was being created. Pioneers like King Louie, E-Day, Billionaire Black, FBG Duck, and Chief Keef were leading the sound, and in 2012, Keef blew up, taking the genre to the masses. 2013 would be the first time UK artists started hopping on these beats to diss each other. Like most drill movements, the UK drill scene started off with two groups that had beef in the streets. These two groups were called 150 and 6-7. They were both in Brixton, and in the 2000s they were cool, but in the 10s they fell out and became enemies. Both groups had several rappers. 150 had Stickz and M-Dog, and 6-7 had Scribs, Dempsey, Monkey, and Bully Green. In 2012, the music these rappers were making was a reflection of the early 10s London scene. Stickz and M-Dog were dropping dancehall inspired tracks,
in the A-side real where I'm posted up. Any disrespect, boy, you gon' hold a slug. Hoodie gritty YGs will poke you up.
while Scribs and Dempsey were dropping early 2000s hip-hop and grime influenced songs.
Official with the burner up on anybody. When you hear show, niggas keep it stepping from run. Cause most time I got a big weapon on me.
You ain't stopping me. I heard Donnies wanna pop at me, but I got the low down properly. I'm aware, so nothing ain't shocking me. Donnie.
But you could tell Stickz was listening to Chief Keef as early as mid-2012.
Jimmy baby, on light, sauce baby,
Salsa baby, no wrong baby, Jimmy baby.
But he hadn't decided to hop on any Chicago drill beats yet. Bully Green was possibly the first UK rapper to ever hop on a Chicago drill beat. On December 25th of 2012, he dropped a song called Lean Freak, which was clearly influenced by Chief Keef in Chicago.
Drink so much I can't feel me. Smoke till I'm a whole brain freeze. Bricky Hill with your JMP.
We be in the bricks, try to send for sticks, them bitches cracking. Niggas getting killed, the shit's been a drill. Bitches cracking.
2013 would be the official start to UK drill, and Stickz and Scribs would be the main ones kicking it off. In February of 2013, Stickz dropped Let's Get It, which was his first song on a Chicago drill beat using a Chicago flow.
2 blunts and I'm back. Don't smoke without nah, niggas talking that crap.
In March, Dempsey, Scribs, and Monkey dropped their first Chicago-inspired song, which was called I'm OJ, I Don't Play.
In and out of them steams, breaking in them caves. My ooters them they spray, my dippers them they shake.
After these tracks, all of these artists would abandon the older dancehall, 2000s hip-hop, and grime beats, rapping almost exclusively on drill. Despite rapping on the same beats, this new UK drill movement was missing one thing from the original Chicago drill, and that was dissing. But towards the end of the year, this would change. In September, Stickz dropped a song called Really in the Fields. Scribs and Monkey decided to hop on the same beat and diss Stickz, and this track basically kicked off the back and forth dissing on songs between 150 and 6-7. Following this diss from Scribs and Monkey, Stickz got in the studio, and in December of 2013, he and M-Dog dropped a track called It's Crackin', dissing Scribs and the rest of 6-7 back. This track blew up, and to this day is one of the most iconic UK drill tracks ever. Scribs, Monkey, and Dempsey responded on the same beat with a track called It's Fryin', which also did numbers. Through 2014, 150 and 6-7 continued dropping, pioneering the new UK drill scene. However, in 2014, Scribs would end up running into legal troubles. UK laws are different from the US, and the police can ban an artist from making music using something called an ASBO, or Antisocial Behavior Order. And this is what they gave Skengdo to ban him from releasing music for 2 years. To get around the ASBO, Skengdo started releasing music under the name LD and using a mask to conceal his identity. Under this new identity, he dropped a song called Live Corn, which went extremely viral, becoming another UK drill classic. It's also worth noting that the beat he used was from a LA Capone song called Separate Myself. Towards the end of 2014, more rappers would emerge onto the scene. Brixton was the home to several other gangs outside of 6'7" and 150, and one of these gangs was 410. This group was clicked up with 150 and beefed with 6'7", and in late 2014, some of their rappers started making noise after dropping a song called 4 Door Coming. The primary rappers in the group included BT, Tiny Sykes, YS, and Rendo. They followed this up with another big song called No Hook and quickly established their place in the new movement. 410 and 150 were also allied with a gang called CT, which was the home to the rapper Perm, who made his name in 2014 with songs like What's All to Talk About and Daddy on the Ride. Daddy on the Ride is recognized as a UK drill classic, and it was one of the earliest UK songs produced by DJ L, a Chicago producer who would end up becoming the godfather of the UK drill sound that would emerge in later years.
Most man talk about peas, most man wanna get jerked. Most man talk about guns, most man wanna get burst.
The 2014 to 2015 era was an important time in UK drill because it was during these years that the movement was defined and solidified, and through the second half of this time period in 2015, when the unique drill sound that is known across the world today first began to emerge. Throughout this year, established artists continue to grow their momentum, and tons of new artists continue popping up as well. A 150 song called Salute that dropped at the end of 2014 took off, and a 150 rapper called Grizzy dropped a song called Look Like You that also ended up blowing. This same year, 150 lost a rapper called SQ to the ongoing feud with 6'7". Several of 150's allies had blown up in 2014, and in 2015, rappers allied with 6'7" like Reeks and B and the A6 Collective began to take off. In April of 2015, Reeks dropped a big song called Blueprint that went on to do millions of views, and he was also featured on a couple of big 6'7" records. Around this same time, a group called 8-6 was beginning to make their name as well. In 2015, they made their name off a record called Most Man, and the main rappers in 8-6 were T Moolah, Gunna Grimes, Stampface, Scrams, and Baby R. Meanwhile, 410 continued their run, dropping big records like Came in the Room and 4 Door Truck. The biggest story of the entire year was the rise of Section Boys, a rap group from Croydon. In 2015, the group dropped huge hits like Trappin' Ain't Dead and Lock Off that allowed them to break into the mainstream. There's somewhat of a debate on whether they classify as UK drill because they made multiple types of genres, and their biggest songs like Lock Off and Trappin' Ain't Dead were definitely hip hop, but not necessarily drill in particular. However, if you count their music as drill, then they were one of the most successful groups in the genre. In late 2015, two new artists from 410 called Y. Rendo and AM dropped a song called Kick Down Doors. The song would take off, and this new duo would soon become the face of the group. Many credit 2016 as the year the UK drill sound finally came together to give the movement its own unique identity. 6'7" started the year off strong, dropping Let's Lurk, a song that went crazy, racking up millions of views and ended up becoming a UK drill classic. The beat from this song got even more viral after UK comedian Big Shaq used it on a parody freestyle that ended up turning into Man's Not Hot. After Let's Lurk, 6'7" was red hot, and in June, Skengdo, who had been going under LD for the past 2 years, was finally free to take off the mask and return to dropping music under the name Skengdo, and in July he did so, dropping a track called Wicked and Bad. but this was most likely just for fun, because afterwards he continued using the name LD and wearing the mask. LD and other 6'7" members like Dimsy, Monkey, and R6 would continue doing numbers, both under the collective 6'7" name and individually, and the group had a very successful year. Throughout the year, 6'7" rappers also collaborated frequently with Stampface, T Mula, Gunna Grimes, and the other A6 rappers, and these individual rappers, as well as A6 as a group, would end up gaining a heavy buzz in 2016 as well. The biggest story of the year was an artist from Kennington called Loski, who dropped a song called Hazards that blew up, becoming arguably the biggest song of 2016 and an established UK drill classic. Loski was part of a clique called the Harlem Spartans from the Kennington area of London. The set's most notable rappers outside of Loski were Miz or Mac, Blanco, Biz, and TG Million. The group's main beef was with 410, but they also beefed with 150 and the other sets allied with 410. On the other side of London, a rapper called A1 from the 9 made a name breaking onto the scene with a song called Optimus. Then, later in the year, he dropped another song called Take a Trip that also did numbers. A1 was from a group called N9, which beefed with the group called OFB, and 2016 was also a big year for an OFB rapper called Abracadabra, who dropped a song called Robbery that did numbers. The beef for Robbery was made by a producer called Jamaica. Jamaica was a leader in the new emerging UK drill sound around 2016. Out of all the producers from Chicago, DJ L had the biggest impact on the UK. He had produced the early hit Daddy on the Ride, and he always stood out from everybody else with his unique snare patterns, which created his signature bounce. And he used several very recognizable patterns, like this one where the counter snares build up and there's a delay on the regular snare that usually falls on the 4. And this one that uses a very catchy, repetitive counter snare pattern.
I'm feeling myself.
Oh man,
I'm feeling myself. This is a
UK producers were inspired by this bounce and it became standard in their beats. Around 2015, they added their own signature touches like bells, dark hits, as well as their iconic 808 slides.
Pocket, can't see the bulge in my coat. Bulge. Like holding me his blade, man, the man got guns that'll sink down a boat.
They also frequently swapped out the 808s for subs.
Skengs on peds or toes with shanks do damage. Like all I hear is scooter and diddle like no one ain't banging.
From 2015 to 2016, all of this came together as the official sound of the UK. Because the sound was inspired by DJ L, and the main artists he worked with were Lil Bibby and G Herbo, who went by Lil Herb at the time, UK producers uploaded their beats to YouTube with the new UK sound, titled as Lil Herb, Lil Bibby, and DJ L type beats, and a few of these producers became very popular. 3 of the main ones were Axel, KXT, and Jamaica. It was these Lil Herb, Lil Bibby, and DJ L type beats that Brooklyn rappers ended up stumbling on at the start of Brooklyn drill. The same Jamaica beat Abracadabra used on Robbery was initially published to YouTube as a Lil Herb type beat, which you can see the fact that the official instrumental on Jamaica's page still has Herb's picture. Brooklyn rapper Jez Gasoline and several others will end up finding the beat on YouTube and record a song called Big Ops America that would be one of the tracks that kicked off Brooklyn drill. So through 2016, the UK sound was becoming global. 6'7" had been a driving force in pioneering UK drill and had remained consistent on the scene, so it was only right that in 2016, with UK drill reaching new heights, they began getting some mainstream recognition. In November, they were nominated for Best Newcomer at the Mobo Awards, which is a big deal in the UK, and later in the year, they even had DJ Vlad reaching out to do an interview with them, something that didn't really happen often for UK artists.
question. If gang pull up, are you gonna back your brethren?
2017 would be one of the biggest, but also one of the final years of UK drill. Early on in the year, 2 rappers called K-Trap and Mischief from a group called Gypset began taking off. They had initially begun buzzing in 2016, off a song called Trapline Bling, and in 2017 they continued dropping big songs, including several collabs with LD and other 6'7" members. In 2017, the Harlem Spartans continued off the momentum of Loski's hit record, dropping Kennington Where It Started and Call Me a Spartan. Two huge songs that put Harlem Spartans at the forefront of the UK drill scene. Unfortunately, this same year things would begin to fall apart. It started with TG Million being sentenced to 12 years for a stabbing. Then Blanco and Mizor Mac were arrested and sentenced after being caught with a strap and a machete. While their ops were seeing their movement fall apart, 410 continued to rise. 410 rappers AM and Y. Rendo, who had changed his name to Skengdo, were hitting their prime, dropping songs like Crash, Behind Bars, and Foolishness, racking up tens of millions of views on YouTube alone throughout the year, going on a crazy run and leading the UK drill scene. The Harlem Spartans and 410 had a lot of the biggest records of the year, but separate from what they were doing, an artist called CB dropped a song called Take That Risk, which was widely embraced by the fans, becoming a UK drill classic. Another big song from this year was Drilling by Nito MB and Mad Max, two rappers from a set called 156, who were emerging faces on the UK scene at the time. Many OG UK drill fans view 2017 as the pinnacle of UK drill, because in 2018, things would change forever.
Get the pack and disperse it. Everything I got, blood, I earned it. If the bridge is weak, then I burn it. Free criminal, we got birded.
Early on into the year, a group called 1011 started buzzing. 1011 was a group from West London, heavy in the streets. The members in the group were Digga D, Savo, M Scum, ZK, Horde One, and TY. Through 2017, they had dropped songs like Play for the Pagans, Kill Confirmed, and No Hook. These were all solid tracks, but for the majority of the year, the group was still relatively unknown. Then, in November, 5 1011 members were arrested after a stop and search, where they were caught with machetes and baseball bats, most likely planning to slide on their ops. Following this incident, their music started blowing up. No Hook began running up millions of views, and although most of the rappers were locked up, 1011 was suddenly on everyone's radar. The explosion of 1011 on the drill scene made their case significantly more high profile, and on top of this, they were possibly the most disrespectful group yet. The trend of dissing the dead had hit the UK around 2015, but 1011 took the disrespect to another level, and the prosecution made sure to bring up their lyrics in court, leading to their trial getting a lot of media coverage, as the police and journalists made the correlation between the music and real life violence. Around the same time 1011 was going to court, another UK drill rapper called M-Trap and 3 others were sentenced for a stabbing that claimed the life of a 15-year-old. M-Trap's lyrics about shanking people and committing other violent acts were also presented in court, also becoming a big focus of the story when he was sentenced in March. In July, the verdict finally came out for the 5 1011 members. The judge revealed that the various members would be serving individual sentences ranging from 1 to several years, and also issued a criminal behavior order, or CBO, that banned them from making certain references and lyrics to real life incidents and people. It also required them to check in with the police 24 hours before releasing music and 48 hours before performing. In addition to all of this, all of their biggest songs were deleted from YouTube. For the previous 2 years, the UK police had been trying to get YouTube to take down music videos from various drill artists throughout London, and in 2017, the city had saw record numbers in knife crime, while UK drill was reaching new peaks in popularity, and the police and media stated that there was a clear correlation. Then, 2 weeks after the 1011 sentencing and the removal of their videos from YouTube decided to remove 30 more of the 60 videos the UK police had asked them to ban, and going into the future, YouTube removing videos at the request of the UK police would become a regular occurrence. In 2018, the beef between 410 and Harlem continued to heat up, with bodies dropping on both sides, one of the more notable being the rapper SA from the Harlem Spartans. The uptick in violence led to both groups being monitored closely by the police, and songs where certain people or events were mentioned were flagged quickly by the police and removed by YouTube. So Loski, AM, Skengdo, and various other rappers from these two groups were getting their songs taken down left and right. This was the situation for many big drill artists across London. In addition to having their music removed from the scene, some were receiving injunctions telling them they couldn't perform certain songs, and in the future, AM and Skengdo would end up doing jail time for performing a song they weren't supposed to. The police regulation on their music would drive many drill artists to step away from music, or at least distance themselves away from drill and try to transition to more mainstream genres. And for those who remain, censoring out the names of groups and people who were dissed in the songs became almost mandatory. From this point on, the artists who remained in UK drill would make it more mainstream, and artists like Headie One, Tion Wayne, M24, and later Central C would take it to new heights as far as popularity and numbers were concerned, but the music they made was more polished and mainstream and different from the gritty, raw tracks from the 2013 to 2017 era, and many would also complain that the production also began to get too repetitive. From 2018 to the current day, UK artists have continued making drill, but most OG fans recognize 2018 as the unofficial end to the original UK drill era.